it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a quick one on repotting this little mini Phalaenopsis orchid. I repotted it last year and it is in need of another repot. It's been growing off to the side. So I've already wet this and soaked it a little bit so that the moss is easier to remove, and we're going to jump right in. So I have some moss, some bark next to me, an empty container where we'll put all of our used potting material. I have some pots here, cutting tools that have been sterilized, and of course some coffee. It is nice and early. So I'm going to take this out of the pot. It's been growing on the sides, so I'm going to be careful. Let's see, there's a little root on the bottom. Okay. So this one grows really nicely. I mean, the moss is still somewhat fresh. The ID for this one is Phalaenopsis Sogo Vivian Leaf's Edge. It blooms for me like twice a year. It's quite nice. The moss is still good, but I'm going to freshen it up. I have some fresh moss here. I'm going to show you how to cut off some of the dead roots. But yeah, I've had this orchid for about 3 years. It's been growing really nicely. As you can see, it has some pretty decent roots. Look at that nice new root. And it blooms so nicely for me. I love the variegation on this one. It's very, very pretty. So we're going to take off this moss. Very easy to remove moss usually from Phalaenopsis. I just give it a little soak or water it and it comes off pretty easily. And when we use pots without the slits on the side, it usually comes out nice and easy. So when I repotted it last year, I transitioned it out of Leca into moss, and look at these roots, quite nice. I'm not too worried about the any moss left over because this was quite a fresh repot and it's very high quality moss, but I'm gonna give it a little rinse in the sink and come back to repot it. I probably could have reused this moss. Just looking at it, it still smells good. It's high quality. This stuff can last for like 2 years, but I'm gonna go ahead and use my fresh one. But I just had to repot it because it was lopsided. But let's address one thing. So this one has a flower spike. Repotting kind of disturbs the roots a bit. So taking this off, the flower spikes take a lot of energy. And notice there's another flower spike coming in behind. I'm gonna take the old flower spike off. So we're going to cut it right here at the base, and it will give it more focus on the roots. Even though there's a spike coming in, I think I'm going to leave it because this root system looks quite good. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove any dead roots. So anything alive is going to be firm. You're going to touch it. It's going to be firm, not hollow. Anything dead will be squishy or papery. So this is an example like here. These were some of the old roots from the past. These are dead, but we don't have to really cut them because we cut them off last time. Those are just leftovers. So these are a little squishy, but that's fine. Everything else is looking pretty good. I kind of wanted to show you what it was like. So this is a little dead here. So I'm going to cut just above where it is alive. So we're not making a new incision in here. But all of this looks good. Maybe I'll cut off right here, this little old piece right here. Put that down. But yeah, in all, this is very easy to grow. Blooms a couple times per year. Very pretty. Gives double spikes a lot, actually. You could see like the dead roots, they kind of come right off. And this is all from last year, from the roots that I cut off. I'll actually go ahead and trim these right here. Right there. So we'll get rid of that, and when this eventually gets long enough, we can cut the stem, but as of right now, I don't want to do that. Maybe next year, but eventually the stem gets longer as it loses its bottom leaves, and we can go ahead and cut it, but it still has viable roots here, so I don't want to do that. Look at this brand new root. So we're going to take this and go ahead and pot it up. So I have a ton of self-watering pots because I've been using semi-hydro for a while, but I've decided to change back to organic. I have a bunch of these left over. I decided to use them for organic setup. They have holes on the bottom. I can water, let it drain, put it back in the mask, and they work pretty well, but you can't see the roots. I wanted to put it in here because I have a bunch of these pots, but the root system just won't fit in there. So I was looking at it. It's not big enough. Then I was thinking, Let me put it back into the original container, and then I put the roots back in, and it's kind of like, it's too many roots for the pot. So I'm gonna go a size bigger. So I have this, I believe this is a 4.5-inch pot, so this should be perfect for it. And we're going to accommodate the roots. Yeah, this will be good. This will be nice. So what we're gonna do is, we're going to fill this up with some sphagnum moss. And I find that mini phals really like sphagnum moss, Phalaenopsis in general, in my environment in New York City. It is dry in the winter and very hot and humid in the summer. And they like very hot and humid in the summer. And they like this sphagnum moss, provided you keep it fluffy. So we're not pressing it down too much. We're keeping lots of air gaps in there. And we're gonna take our Phalaenopsis and we're gonna position the roots inside. And remember, this was kind of lopsided, so I want it to grow upright. It was kind of like falling out of the pot a bit. So I'm gonna take these roots and kind of go around, putting them in there gently. I want it to fit nicely. Now some of these are quite big, so I just want it to fit in a good way. So let's see. Maybe what we could do is, maybe what I'll do is I'll put some sphagnum moss in here and we will just wrap the roots around. So we'll do this and kind of like wrap the roots around a little bit and then place it into the pot. Some of the roots are still a little firm. You could get around that by soaking for a while. They will stay firm on you though, but they will make them a little bit more pliable and they'll be less likely to break. We're gonna take this moss and just slowly wrap some roots around and it should work out nicely. We just wanna keep it fluffy. So we're gonna do that. So we have a little bit in the middle here and now let's get it inside of the pot. We're gonna plop this in and just, we're gonna be careful. Should be good enough in here. I just wanna get it low enough where the roots are gonna grow, but like not go lopsided on me. And this should be enough, I think. If we could get this pointed in, I will. I want to get this in here a little bit more. And then we're just going to slowly add our fluffy moss. Not pressing down too much. You could add some bark if you'd like. I find that moss works really well for me. But the bigger the pot, then the longer it takes to dry. And then that's when I start adding things like moss in there or some rocks or something to just keep more aeration and make sure that it promotes a little bit quicker drying because you don't want this to stay too soggy, too wet, too long, you know? Orchids like their moisture, but they also need their air. They need to dry out. You're gonna have some aerial roots. If I could bring this down, I will. Maybe that one will go down towards the end, but we will see. So we're gonna fill this all in. This should grow really nicely. So we're gonna slowly, I'm just gonna position this in. I'm not pressing down, I'm kind of like wiggling it down with my finger, like not just like pressing, just like kind of fluffing it in. And I think this orchid's gonna be happy. It probably needs another repot in a year. It grows really well, but we'll see about that. I mean, this is a bigger pot now. I wish I could center it a little bit more, but that root system is so like deep that it's kind of hard, but it's okay. What I do like to do, and I got this from Miss Orchid Girl, is I like to top this off with bark because moss gets a little slimy and green. I'll show you at the end why. But when it's exposed to light and it stays wet, it just gets a little bit like, ugh, looks a little gross. So bark does not do that, so it'll kind of cover that like sledge up, but this is more like for decoration at this point. Otherwise, I will flush it as normal. I will water it as normal. Try to get water through the pot, let it drain, and then put it back into a decorative container. And this is all good to go. Let me show you what the sliminess looks like. You could kind of see, like with the old moss, it would turn green on top, which, you know, it's okay, but it's just a little ugly. Otherwise, we are all done with this. Here we are. We are all set. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know down below. Give me a like and subscribe for more orchid content. I will be doing Cattleyas later and Oncidiums, and I'll be dividing them. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.